Good morning, councillors. We are now on air. Good morning, executive. I note we have an exceptional circumstance absence this morning for question time and for other subsequent engagements for Councillor McGuinness. And we have apologies for this session from the GM of People and Strategy. Otherwise, I note a full attendance. Welcome to those listening this morning to our public question time. Again, given the continued constraints of the ongoing COVID matters, we are unable to have a public gallery except via the digital format. And in that circumstance, I'll turn to the CEO to introduce the questions that have been accepted for public question time today.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a number of questions received today. The process will be that I'll read each question and then the Mayor will provide the response, just to assist listeners keeping track of the question and the response. I do note, though, that not all questions have been accepted. Some questions relate to active legal matters or material that's not publicly released. The first questions relate to the Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens. Question 1. A memorandum of agreement has been negotiated between Council and the Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens Inc. in 2020, and a contractual arrangement entered into with that organisation to manage the gardens until 30 June 2025. Part of the contractual agreement is the provision of not less than $60,000 per annum, which equates to $300,000 across the life of the 5-year agreement. Why does this contractual arrangement not appear on Council's individual contracts of $200,000 or more as at 3rd of February 2021, given that the total contract amount exceeds $200,000?
Thank you for the question. Staff response to this matter has indicated that historically, since Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens Inc., hereafter I may refer to them as TMBGI for brevity, have been engaged to provide the services, there have been no disclosures. This was on the basis that the memorandum of agreement was regarded as non-binding and didn't meet the definitions contained under Chapter 6 of the Local Government Regulations 2012. The nature of the memorandum has also meant that the services engaged weren't facilitated via a council's purchase order process. Council endorsed the engagement of Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens Inc. at the 17th of August 2020 council meeting via resolution. The CEO has advised for completeness that the arrangement will be included in the relevant disclosure report.
Question 2 has been deemed as not accepted. Question 3. What discussions, communications, negotiations have occurred which resulted in the proposed name being changed from the Scenic Rim Botanic Gardens Tamborine Mountain to Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens in the Scenic Rim? Council has stated that in September 2020, the Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens Inc., in brackets the association, informed Council of its desire to change the name of the gardens to the Tamborine Mountain Regional Botanic Gardens in the Scenic Rim.
Council received correspondence from TMBGI dated the 4th of September 2020, indicating their desire to progress with a name change from TM Botanic Gardens to TM Regional Botanic Gardens in the Scenic Rim. Correspondent should contact the TMBGI to seek any clarification of their process to arrive at this decision.
Question 4. Why was Council unaware of the requirements of its own naming roads and places policy in relation to the naming of public places, which has meant that the public has been misled for the past 7 months re the validity of attempts to rename or formally name, as it turns out, the Tamborine Mountain Botanic Gardens?
As with many other requests from community groups or community members, council officers have been investigating and assessing the correspondence from the TMBGI since receiving it. The naming process was delayed due to the submission of a petition which had to be addressed before progression of the naming process. Report to Council at the last meeting is the product of these processes and outlines the next steps to comply with Council's naming roads and places policy. As discussed at the tabling of this report, there are circumstances across the region where custom and practice have attributed names that have not been formally allocated or registered. I anticipate such circumstances will continue to come to light and be dealt with through the same proper processes.
Questions 5 to 8 refer to MCU 19-133 for Coles Earthworks. Question 5, what actions has Council initiated to ensure that all future MCUs will be assessed in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act 2016?
Council follows a rigorous process as defined in legislation in the assessment of development applications. In regard to this matter, we consider we have acted appropriately and are communicating with SARA to address their concerns.
Question 6. In light of the serious contraventions of the Planning Act 2016 highlighted by SARA, what review process has Council initiated to ensure that all other previous MCU approval decisions and negotiated decisions which contain referral agency responses have been lawfully made?
As I indicated previously, Council considers that the conditions were appropriate and valid. This will be a matter of discussion with SARA and it is premature to make any assumptions as to the proper and final outcome. While I respect that the questioner has a perspective to express, there is no fact-based evidence to substantiate the basis of this question. Council will progress its continuous improvement process as part of the refresh and refocus of its operational activities.
Question 7. As the errors outlined above demonstrate serious shortcomings in Council's planning staff's understanding of the very legislation under which it makes recommendations put to Council for approval, what remedial training is proposed to rectify these knowledge deficiencies apparent at all levels of staff engaged in planning matters?
As prior answers indicate, it is only a matter of opinion, not fact, that this question is based upon. The ongoing development of staff and capability is a normal business activity.
Question 8. Were councillors deliberately misled by the recommendations made by planning staff in relation to A, the original approval made on 15th of October 2020, and B, the recommendations made in an agenda item of 27th April 2021 for a vote on a negotiated decision?
Once again, this is a question based on an opinion with no apparent fact base. It is disappointing that this recurring pattern of unfounded negative and derogatory inference seems to be a preferred approach.
Questions 9 to 14 have been provided. 9 to 11 have not been accepted as they refer to an ongoing legal matter. So I'll go to question 12. Question 12, can Council focus on rectifying the inherent staff knowledge deficiencies rather than focusing on issues which do not form part of Council's core business, e.g. assisting private enterprises to prepare grant applications, rebranding, etc.?
The questioner's perspective is noted. However, I believe it shows a very narrow understanding of the role of modern council. As previously indicated, Council will continue to review and improve its processes and practices. As indicated since the previous term of Council, there is a long journey to move forward from the inadequacies of past practices to meet the modern expectation. Council will continue to progress the wide range of services that support the business outcomes endorsed by the elected Council as underpinning our service model and strategic direction.
Question 13. Can Council state why the serious wastage of funds which occurs when its actions and decisions don't get it right should not be referred to the Queensland Audit Office for audit?
As indicated during the last ordinary meeting of Council, the Queensland Audit Office will consider requests for specific audits and undertake such audits if they deem such requests worthy. The
last question, Mr Mayor, question 14. Can Council reinstate its planning committee so that the basis for recommendations made in ordinary meeting agendas, re the approval, refusal of development applications, are transparent? The issue re the Coles matter may well have been highlighted before the damage was done if Council followed the transparent actions of Gold Coast City Council, Logan City Council and Ipswich City Council, which still all have planning committees.
The inference that there is less transparency in considering the full content of planning matters within the ordinary meeting of our council compared to the prior committee meeting arrangements is not based in fact. As indicated in the resolution of council of 25th of March 2019 to consolidate the 3 standing committees into the full visibility of the ordinary meeting has provided better efficiency for council operations and improved visibility for the community. By having 2 ordinary meetings each month, Council has also improved the timeliness of consideration, which further improves the operation of these processes. It is a fact that there is no difference between the content that is tabled and discussed for such matters within the current ordinary meeting program and the content that was previously tabled into planning committees for these matters. This means that the discussions that previously took place at a planning committee meeting are now fully visible within the ordinary meeting. From our research across a range of our peer councils, including 14 Category 3 councils, such as we are, and 3 from Category 2, only 2 of these councils still operate committee structures. Further to this, 11 of these councils only meet once per month. It's not unreasonable to conclude from these facts that we are meeting modern standards and being proactive to keep pace with the needs of our community. I believe there are no further questions tabled for consideration today. CEO, councillors, officers, thank you, and thank you to those listening through the digital gallery. Thank you for your time and attention. We will return for the ordinary meeting commencing at 9:15. I bid you good morning.